Is around 70 degrees, I think. But even when I came in here earlier today to kind of prep the studio, it was noticeably colder.
That's because it's noticeably colder outside.
It's warmer today than it was yesterday.
Right, but it still makes a difference in here. Like
I've never noticed that
the weather
weather
got heated up in here. Like if Corey Roddick didn't turn it to 80 like he does sometimes.
I would love that.
And it wouldn't,
But even right after he got out of here this morning, it seemed
cold.
like the thermostat, and our handy thermometer is showing 66.
Oof.
Which,
that's cold.
That's so cold.
Anywho, Poundcake's back behind the glass.
I am. Afternoon, white people.
And what's your room like? Is your room a similar temperature to what you're normally used to?
Man, our apartment gets... Oh, you're talking about back in here.
Back in there.
Oh, you're saying my
House.
apartment
Your
gets...
house.
I'm fine. Normally, my nipples cut glass when it's cold, so this is perfectly fine. I was okay to keep my coat off.
I nip out too, and it usually, I don't know what it is. It's just a character trait. It normally has nothing to do with the temperature, but it is largely why I started wearing hoodies in the studio all the time, was to cover my nipples.
You with your nipples?
Yeah, because I wear T-shirts all the time, and
Playing with them probably
I just
doesn't
nip out. Well,
It's good for it's good for the numbers though. People like a little nip play.
they like a little semicircle, a little clockwise, a little counterclockwise.
Can you do pat one and rub the other?
Oh, like your head in your stomach?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll do that whole thing. I'll switch.
My sister, I said that her furnace broke, and they are waiting.
I thought this was going to be about her nipples.
Not about her nipples, but they're waiting on a part.
That's how she
or
knows
something.
the furnace broke.
Yes, all the family's nipples, including the baby, were very, very prominent.
There you
Them
go.
hard-ass baby nipples.
Baby nipples.
She said her house is at like 42 degrees right now because the
Awful.
heat's been off for a couple days, and I was like, dude. And they live an hour and a half away, you know what I mean? And they're renting, so it's like the landlord's like, oh, well, I'll drop off a space heater. And I was like, dude, don't pay rent. Like, you don't have heat, you know?
And you never realize how warm your home is just on a regular basis until the heat goes out. And you're like, oh, it feels like it's outside right now.
That's why I said, I was like, you might as well be sleeping in the car at this point, you know?
Yeah. Well, our thermostat, I have one of those Nest thermostats, and I always forget. It pisses me off because these thermostats have motion sensors in them, too, where if it doesn't sense any motion for a while, it shuts off, right? Because it figures, oh, they're not home.
Yeah.
Not shut off, but makes it cooler in the house. I assume, for energy-saving purposes or whatever. But anytime we would leave for a few days, I would always forget to check the thermostat on my app. And then we'd get in the house, and it's 50 degrees in there because no one's been walking around for a few days. So all of these modern advances in technology, and you got to check the thermostat on your phone.
Your app.
I know, first world problems. But I grew up in a house where when we left, we would always go to my grandmother's house for Christmas, and we would go for a while. She was really our only extended family. We didn't have a whole lot of extended family, so we would go to my grandmother's, and we'd go from like Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. We'd go that whole week. And when we would come home, the house was an ice.
He turned it off.
And we'd all, so the first 4 hours we're back in the house, we're all wearing our coats, and my dad was a don't touch the thermostat guy. And he didn't want to have it on while we were gone because why are we going to heat the house when we're not home? You guys can handle it. I'm sure this is not a unique experience. A lot of people had this experience growing up. A lot of dads are don't touch the thermostat guy.
Well, mine was my mom, but yes.
Right. Because
Parents, a lot of parents.
Because
what?
Why was it your mom?
Oh, just because we were broke.
No, because your dad wasn't around. That was the line I was looking for, right? He always says that. I didn't have a dad. And so that's why I thought that's where you were going with that whole thing. You said it had to be your mom. By the way, congratulations to Mary Santora. Just to pull the curtain back a little bit, I have been informed that you are no longer massaging the logs. And so congratulations for a while.
I did that for a full year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I was gifted that responsibility Christmas break of 2020. I'm learning how to massage the logs.
Yeah.
And then now I have been alleviated of such responsibility.
Been relieved of duty. No more log massaging.
No
That's
more,
right.
No
How come?
more. Something had been changed on the programming end, and it is no longer necessary. And they said also...
That means one more thing they've managed to automate.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And they said they want me not to be distracted during the show, to just focus
Good
on
luck with
being
that.
funny.
Listen, the possibilities are endless from here on out, right?
Yes.
Yes, just focus on that. But
wait till you see how quick I am now.
as
that I'm not
short-lived
worried.
as your log massaging days were,
Now that you don't have logs on the brain.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so many jokes. We can count them.
was that something that you were doing in breaks? Was
Yes.
massaging logs?
Yes, because if I didn't, they start loading at like 4, and if I don't do them in the breaks, I would be here for like 2.5 hours after work. And
For people who are unfamiliar with what we're talking about, the log refers to all of the things that are in the hard drives here that are
commercials
throughout
and, yeah.
elements of programming that are played throughout the day. 100
Right.
years ago when I started this business, we were still, at the beginning of my shift, I would have all 4 hours of music stacked in CD. Our commercials were all on carts, and you'd have to load them manually. Now it's been automated for a decade and a half, where it's
Right.
all digital workstations, and so the logs show you, I do a log for this show every day.
Yeah.
Where you see where all the elements go and where they're supposed to be and blah, blah, blah.
So I was originally able to stay after work and do them, and it wasn't an issue. And then they didn't want me to do that anymore because I was going over my allotted 29 hours per week. So they said,
I love it.
hey, no more overtime for you. Figure out how to do
For
it before
time.
you leave.
No, we're
So-
not. Couldn't you guys just give me a little extra scratch to do this since you're giving me something that's technically not in my job description? I'm helping you guys out. Could you no. There's no scenario in which you'd get more. You need to figure out a time to do it another time and not go over.
Yes. So they were like, okay, well, that lasted for all of this year, not being able to stay late, and then, or maybe half of this year, and then it was discussed and apparently fixed, and now it's no longer my responsibility.
Mary, what we're going to do is we figured it out, and we are going to get you a laptop so you can do it at home.
That was
So
discussed.
that-
I know
Of
that you're
course
joking.
it was. I'm not joking.
For when I
course
was
it
out
was
of
discussed.
town.
Yeah.
For when I was out of town, because on Fridays I have to do them for the whole weekend. So I'd have to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So after work Friday, I would be here for a long time, especially if it was a holiday. And so then
It's
they were
because
like,
no
"What
one
if we
works here
get you
anymore,
a-"
and poor Jason Carr is running
Right.
9 radio stations. He just needs extra hands.
Right.
He needs working digits to do things.
Right, but it
And,
did very much become, can we get you to do more work for no money?
Hey, can we? We've got a really good idea we want to run past you. Well, listen, we laugh when Bill talks about how as a kid he hated homework. You should be able to teach me everything I need to know during school. Why am I going home and doing more work? And we
Makes
go,
a lot of
ha, ha, ha,
sense.
ha.
Makes
But it
a
makes
lot
a
of
lot.
sense.
It makes a lot of sense. You're not paid to go to school, right?
Right.
It makes sense in the concept of being an adult with a job. It makes sense.
It makes sense with school, too.
Huh?
It makes sense with school.
It might. It might very well.
Discipline, learning, responsibility.
Right, when you're
Get
young,
in
it's,
it. Again, I'll do at school. My time should be my time.
What are you doing when you're
I was
9?
going to say, yeah, what time? Kids don't have anything to do.
I had lots to do.
When you're a kid, school is your job. And so
all you
homework is
have to do.
overtime.
So, yeah, but you're not getting paid
That's
anything
right.
for
You're
it.
not getting
paid
paid.
in a degree and merits.
Nah, you're getting handed a
Garbage.
bill for a degree.
Yeah.
You're not going to make that case.
Are we going to do Cody's question in the opening? When are we going to do this? His rock fact from the day before.
Do you have your
He
calendar?
put it in the.
Oh, he
bucket.
did. Oh, he put
Well,
it in
yeah,
there.
I think what he should do is give us the
We can
new
do it later
one.
on.
Okay.
Give us the new one, and then we ask him the one from yesterday.
Okay. I didn't know
see
if
how
that
it
was.
goes.
Yeah, we'll
gonna
do it
be
later
an
on.
everyday
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Bill gifted Poundcake a rock trivia question of the day calendar. And so my thought was, well, the question he asked us yesterday, we'll ask it again later on today, and then he should tear those off, put them in here, and then the next day we will ask him the exact same question he asked us to see what kind of retention he has, rather than just reading it as he committed any of it to memory.
Well, over the course of
In a
the
mere
full
24
day-
hours.
Well, I even thought we might even be able to do it first segment, last segment, where he gives us the one of the day, and then we
condense it
ask
into
him
one
the
show.
same one as our sign-offs. Like, hey, Cody, what was this?
The final question for Poundcake.
He still thinks
today.
one of the Beatles was Joe. So-
Joe the Beetle. There was John, Paul, George, and Joe the Beetle. Right. Hey, listen, those are the ones that we all know, and people know Pete Best, and deep divers know Stu Sutcliffe. But there might have been a Joe in there early on, a guy who was lost, to the mists of time, right? There might have been an early Joe in the Beatles.
Joe Pesci was instrumental in Who's Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons and making that a band. So maybe he had something
Jersey Boys.
Jersey Boys, but
Yeah.
that's not the name. That was just the name of the
That was the production. Like the
Production.
live, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Four Seasons is
Four
where
Seasons.
Yeah, Frankie Valli.
So maybe Joe Pesci had his hand in
Because he
the
was a
Beatles.
singer by trade. Joe
Yeah.
Pesci was a
He's a
singer
very
a long time
talented
before he was
musician,
an actor, I think. Okay, so, well, there's a lot of things to figure out there logistically. Tell you what, we'll come back and we'll get the new question from him
Okay.
for today, for January the 4th. And then we'll see if he knows yesterday's question.
Okay.
And then at the end of today's show, we'll ask him today's question again.
It's a lot of information.
I'll set up a flow chart for the
All
listeners
right.
at AlanCoxShow.com. If you want to get a text for anything, 35192, AlanCoxShow.com if you want to watch live there, and we'll be back.